From the very first frame of John Wick 2014, it is clear that this film is not just any other kind of revenge thriller. It's a masterclass in marrying emotion, style, and sheer adrenaline in a way that few modern action films have ever dared to. Watching John Wick is like watching a precision-engineered machine spring into motion. Every beat of storytelling, every flash of movement, every gunshot, and every quiet moment of grief is intentional. And as a superfan of John Wick and the quadrilogy as a whole, it's impossible not to feel the excitement ripple through the opening scenes, because from the moment John wakes and walks through his morning routines, the audience is immediately pulled into a world where stakes feel personal, devastating, and utterly compelling. Unlike typical action movies that throw audiences into chaos and hope the story sticks, John Wick begins with a perfectly balanced emotional core. The death of his wife, the gift of the dog Daisy, that gives us a reason to care about the man behind the myth, and that emotional grounding, it's exactly what makes the bang that follows not only satisfying, but narratively and emotionally earned. This isn't just about storytelling, it's storytelling with the intensity dialed all the way up to 10. Director Chad Stahelski and co-writer Derek Kolstad didn't just make a typical revenge thriller, they constructed a universe where violence, honor, grief and style collide beautifully. The quiet, contemplative scenes early on, paired with a neo-noir aesthetic of rain-soaked streets, shadowed hallways and muted lights, establishes Wick's world as beautiful, dangerous and meticulously ordered. By the time the first violent confrontation erupts, the audience isn't just watching the action unfold, they're living it. Every punch, every shot, every tactical maneuver carries emotional weight because we've come to know who John Wick is and why he fights. And as a fan, it's exhilarating to witness how the film escalates. Each scene, each encounter, each stylistic choice contributes to a crescendo that announces without question that this is a film where the action and heart are of equal importance. What makes John Wick so electrifying is that it's not a one-off. This film starts with a bang, and the franchise only grows more audacious with each new installment. From the sleek, intimate opening of the first film to the sprawling cinematic set pieces of the sequels, every single John Wick movie begins with a combination of style, story, and intensity that immediately captures your attention. By exploring John Wick's character, the kinetic choreography, and the stylized universe he inhabits, it becomes clear why the first film sets such a high standard, and why, as a fan, you cannot help but appreciate how perfectly the franchise builds its opening moments into something spectacular. In the chapters that follow, I will dive into what makes John Wick's beginnings so thrilling, from the man himself to the artistry of his battles and the richly realized world that makes it all possible. Hey, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that noti bell because it really helps out. One of the most satisfying aspects of the John Wick series, and what makes its opening bang feel so earned, is the character at its center. Keanu Reeves embodies a man whose emotional depth is every bit as compelling as his legendary combat prowess. From the very beginning of the first film, John isn't just a skilled killer, he's a man weighed down by grief who is trying desperately to find a quiet place in a world that has long demanded violence from him. The loss of his wife and the posthumous gift of Daisy are not minor plot devices, they're the emotional anchors of the entire narrative. Every audience member, even those unfamiliar with Reeves' body of work, immediately recognizes the humanity, the loss, and the very real stakes that make every later action sequence resonate. This is why the bang that kicks off the first film works so well. The audience feels invested in the characters' world and the pain before the bullets ever start flying. What's remarkable and endlessly satisfying as a fan is how the filmmakers trust the audience to feel without being hit over the head with exposition. Simple quiet routines like Wick's morning coffee, his walks through the city, and the gentle interactions with Daisy establish an intimacy that makes the subsequent chaos of his revenge feel personal and devastating. Each gesture, each glance, each small moment in the first act is calculated to deepen audience empathy. This allows the narrative to build toward the first explosive encounter with tragic inevitability. It isn't just a spectacle, it's a reaction to a profound injustice. When the Russian gangsters breach Wick's home, the emotional punch lands as hard as the physical one because the audience has already formed a connection with him and with Daisy, one that makes every violent response satisfying, cathartic, and ultimately thrilling. Supporting characters reinforce this construction brilliantly. Winston at the Continental Hotel, Viggo Tarasov, and the other assassins give this world texture and life, history and stakes. These characters highlight Wick's legendary reputation and moral code. He is lethal, but bound by principles, making him both formidable and sympathetic. As a fan, you notice how every encounter in the first act, every exchange of dialogue, and every subtle glance or reaction works to paint a portrait of a man whose professional skills and personal losses are inseparable. By the time the action finally erupts, John Wick is not just a revengeful protagonist, he is an icon whose motives feel intensely real. It's this combination of emotional grounding and character depth that makes John Wick's opening so exciting and memorable. It's why the film and the entire franchise can start with a bang and have it feel justified as well. As the sequels escalate in scale, the emotional stakes remain consistent, reminding fans that behind the explosions and gunfights is a man we have come to care about whose story demands attention, because the genius of the first film is in establishing that connection from the very start, so that every bang, shot, and confrontation hits harder, feels more earned, and keeps audiences riveted from the very first opening frame. If John Wick's character's foundation is the soul of the film, then its action sequences are its lifeblood, and they deliver the bang with unparalleled precision. As a fan, one cannot help but be swept away by the kinetic choreography, often dubbed gun fu, which combines martial arts with firearm tactics to create a visual language that is as thrilling as it is innovative. What sets John Wick apart from standard action fare is the clarity and narrative purpose behind every single movement. Wick doesn't fight for spectacle alone. Each strike, dodge, and shot communicates his intelligence, experience, and moral reasoning. The action isn't just physical, it's storytelling in motion. The audience can read his tactics, understand his decision making, and feel the weight of each single encounter, making the opening sequences pulse with narrative and emotional energy. Consider the film's opening flashback of Wick's domestic life and the intrusion of the Russian gangsters. The sequence begins quietly, almost deceptively calm, before escalating with brutal precision. Every step John takes, every shot he fires, every improvised weapon or tactical decision underscores his deadly skill, and yet the filmmakers never compromise clarity. Audiences can follow the choreography, understand the spatial relationships, and appreciate the artistry behind the carnage. This is essential in making the opening feel earned, because we've been invested in the man, the methods, and the stakes long before the bullets start flying. The contrast between his tender domestic life and his lethal precision underscores the emotional core of the narrative, making each strike and maneuver resonate beyond mere spectacle. The nightclub sequence further exemplifies the genius of pacing and action within John Wick. Set in a labyrinthian, neon-lit environment, Wick navigates floors and levels while dispatching adversaries with both guns and hand-to-hand combat. It is a sequence that demands attention, and as a fan, one cannot help but marvel at the seamless integration of choreography, camera work, and narrative logic. Every movement feels intentional, every shot carries weight, and the sequence never loses its narrative clarity despite the high-octane violence. Unlike many action films that rely on quick cuts and shaky cams, John Wick prioritizes spatial awareness, allowing audiences to appreciate both the artistry and the stakes. Pacing is another crucial element. The film interweaves moments of introspection with explosive action, allowing audiences to catch their breath while maintaining a sense of mounting tension. The quiet, mournful early moments create a stark contrast to the explosive sequences, amplifying the impact of each bang. The rhythm mirrors Wick's own emotional journey, calm, controlled, and methodical, before interrupting into unrelenting fury. Each escalation is carefully orchestrated so that every bullet, every fall, every fight sequence is felt viscerally. Sound design, editing, and music, Tyler Bates' score, and the electronical industrial textures of the soundtrack intensify this experience, immersing audiences in a fully realized world where action is both cinematic and emotionally significant. What makes John Wick's opening, and the franchise as a whole, so fan-exhilarating is that the action grows bigger and more audacious with each new installment. While the first film establishes the intensity, sequels like Chapter 2, 3 and 4 expand the choreography, environments, the world and stakes while retaining the same meticulous clarity and emotional grounding. The series doesn't just escalate violence for spectacle, it escalates story, stakes and style. Every film starts with a bang, each bigger, more inventive and more emotionally satisfying than the last, rewarding fans who appreciate both artistry and adrenaline. The meticulous blending of character, narrative and action is why John Wick doesn't merely open with a bang, it detonates, immediately immersing audiences in a world where everything is precise, consequential and utterly thrilling. Another element that makes John Wick's opening so spectacular is the world in which it unfolds. The Continental Hotel, with its strict rules, mysterious staff and moral codes, introduces audiences to an underground society that is both fantastical and believable. Every detail, from gold coin currency to hierarchical guilds of assassins, is designed with precision, creating a universe that feels lived in and immersive. As a fan, one can't help but be awed by the complexity. The world is dangerous, glamorous and morally intricate, providing a perfect stage for John Wick's journey. The rules of this universe are never arbitrary. They amplify tension, enrich narrative stakes, and make Wick's actions feel consequential. Stylistically, the series has a distinctive aesthetic that feels both timeless and hyper-stylized at the same time. Neon-lit streets, rain-soaked cityscapes, shadowy interiors, and sleek costume design all comes together to create a visual language that communicates mood, tone, and story simultaneously. Every frame is a careful composition of light, color, and action, reminding fans that John Wick is not just about what happens, it's about how it looks, feels, and resonates. The neo-noir design elevates ordinary fight sequences into cinematic set pieces, giving every punch and gunshot an elegance that few action films have ever been able to match. The visual style mirrors the narrative stakes, beauty and danger coexisting, echoing the duality of Wick's life as both a grieving husband and an unstoppable legendary assassin. The world building isn't static, it evolves with each sequel, becoming larger, more intricate, and increasingly spectacular. The first film establishes the underground network and its rules, while Chapter 2 and 3 expand the scale, introducing new locations, factions, and consequences. As a fan, it is thrilling to watch the franchise escalate naturally, with the opening sequences growing more ambitious, the choreography more inventive, and the stakes higher, all while staying true to the internal logic of the John Wick universe. This consistency in world building ensures that the bang at the beginning of each film is grounded, meaningful, and utterly exhilarating. Sound design, cinematography, and score further reinforce this immersive world. Gunfire has weight, footsteps echo purposefully, and every ambient noise contributes to both tension and rhythm. The score punctuates moments of both reflection and chaos, tying together emotion and action seamlessly. Together, these elements create an experience that is cinematic, immersive, and emotionally resonant. Fans can't just watch John Wick, they live in his universe, feel his urgency, and thrill at each escalation from quiet precision to all-out spectacle. Ultimately, the world of John Wick amplifies every opening moment. By combining meticulous design, coherent rules, and striking style, the franchise transforms the bang from a simple act of violence into a narrative event, an aesthetic thrill, and a fan celebration. Each opening promises intensity, mastery, and excitement, setting a standard for action storytelling that is unmatched in modern cinema. At its core, John Wick opens with a bang because it understands what action fans want: intensity, artistry, and emotional weight. The film delivers all three with astonishing, assassin-like precision. From the first quiet, reflective moments of domestic life to the escalating violence that demands our attention, the story is meticulously crafted so that every beat lands with maximum impact. John Wick's character is therefore compelling, nuanced, and relatable. The action is precise, inventive, and narratively integral, and the world is immersive, stylized, and consistent. Together, these elements create an opening that isn't just thrilling, it's genuinely unforgettable. As a fan, the joy of watching John Wick is that each film in the franchise starts bigger, bolder, and more spectacular than the last. While the first film establishes the stakes and the world and the tone, Chapter 2, 3, and 4 expand the scale, choreography, and narrative complexity, ensuring that every opening sequence detonates with greater intensity than the last. The franchise doesn't rely on repetition, it evolves, continually rewarding fans who appreciate precision, style, and emotion in equal measure. Each installment begins with a bang, but its bang feels earned, meaningful, and exhilarating because it builds on the foundation of characters, stakes, and universe introduced within the first film. This approach is what makes John Wick not just a successful action series, but a phenomenon in Hollywood movies. The combination of human grief, meticulous world building, and breathtakingly choreographed violence ensures that the audiences are invested from the very first frame. Each bang carries emotional resonance, narrative purpose, and fan-pleasing spectacle, making it impossible to watch without being fully absorbed. The franchise's escalating scale and ambition ensures that fans experience an increasingly spectacular thrill ride, yet the emotional core, the man, his loss, and his relentless pursuit of justice remains central. Ultimately, John Wick proves that the perfect opening isn't just about chaos, explosions, or gunfire. It's about layering emotion, narrativation, style, and spectacle so seamlessly that the audience experiences the full weight and thrill of every moment. Each film detonates with intensity, growing bolder and more spectacular, yet never losing the grounded humanity that makes the whole quadrilogy so unforgettable. As a fan, it is impossible not to appreciate the genius of a franchise that understands the delicate balance between heart and action. The first film undeniably starts with a bang, and each sequel does so too, but bigger, faster, more inventive, and infinitely more satisfying. Watching John Wick is not just entertainment, it is a celebration of cinematic craftsmanship, adrenaline, and the pure thrill of storytelling done right.